Hello everyone, this is Saurabh Kumar and I welcome you all to my video series where we are covering the syllabus of Certified Ethical Hacker. Today we have reached to part number 81 where I am gonna talk about control types. Basically these control types we are going to talk about that how we can secure our company, how we can secure our network, how we can secure our resources. So let's begin. First of all, when we talk about control types, things comes that do you think or do you believe that your computer or your network or your resources are completely secure? And do you believe or do you think that there is a possibility to make them 100% secure? The answer is I don't think it will be yes. Only one answer can be then if you stop using everything, you don't use laptop, you don't use mobile phone, you don't use any resources or technology, then obviously it can be 100% yes. Otherwise, if you are using laptop, if you are using network, if you are using Wi-Fi, if you are using mobile phone, if you are using Android devices, somehow the chances of vulnerability will be there, and when we can't say it is 100% secure, we can just put so many different type of security or control types to make sure that at least 99.9% or maybe 90% it is secure. So basically the thing is here, what I'm going to tell you that uh, risk cannot be completely eliminated. Wherever the network is, wherever the devices are, wherever the communications are, there is some risk. There is some kind of vulnerability. Only the thing we have to do is we have to avoid them. We have to make sure to protect them from such kind of any incident or any kind of risk. If we have to make or provide a solution to protect from such kind of risk. For example, if I feel like my network is having a risk of having unauthorized access, we implement firewall. For example, if you feel like your data is not very much confidential, you can implement any kind of cryptography. If you feel like yes, your computer maybe is not 100% secure, you implement their password, you implement multi-factor authentication, you implement physical security. So similarly, in this topic, we are going to talk about that how we can protect our data or resources to control the risk or to reduce the risk. So we can see here that residual risk may remain after even countermeasure are in the place. So generally being an ethical hacker, our task is to reduce the risk. Nobody there who can 100% eliminate the risk. So our task is to reduce the risk in such a way that the chance will be 0.000% of 0.0001% are risk, but we can't avoid every risk. So basically our fundamental is that we are going to implement some countermeasure, we are going to implement some kind of policy, we are going to implement such kind of devices, rules or condition or scenario so that the risk can be reduced. Now, if you think like that there is a risk in the business and you don't want to just run the business, then only one solution you can have 100% security. Otherwise, if you want to continue the business, obviously you have to look after the risk and you have to take care about how you are going to, run against that risk or how you are going to protect yourself from such kind of risk. So here we can see that there are many number of conditions which we generally never think about, but that may lead to have some kind of risk in our organization. Like first example I have mentioned here in my slide that, for example, you was having some kind of data, or maybe you created a kind of folder which contains your special kind of project. You have given different kind of condition, or if you have given different kind of authorization to the users or the groups to access that folder or the data or the resource. But what happens sometime that maybe the project was working for 5 years, 6 years or 10 years, and then project gets closed. After that, do you think, or what happens sometime that maybe the IT person forgot to go to that project data and to remove the all different authorization from there, because the project is finished, now let's me remove all the authorization of the user. So if they forgot to do so, or if they are not doing it because of maybe any other reason, that can also lead to have a risk. And that is generally whenever I go for any generally when I go to any company to do penetration testing, I found such kind of vulnerability. That's why I'm especially focusing on this area in this particular video, that what people do generally, that whenever you create something new, you look after all the security, that this guy will have this particular kind of authorization, this will have this. But when the project ends, nobody take care about it, that okay, project has finished, let's reduce the everybody authorization, let's reduce the authenticity for this device particularly. So that has to be implemented. You should take care about those things. Otherwise what happened, that for example one employee was working in that project and you have given him authorization, and then when project finished, company has fired him, company has chased them out. So maybe he is working now in any company and you have still given him authorization. So from there he can access your data which you have used in your project, and that is how the leak of data is. So basic format is we should take care about those small thing also to do the control on the risk. Another thing is, what we have to do is, so inside our policy we must analyze or review our data to have the validating or reclassification. Sometimes what happens, that maybe today we are working on a project and we are making some special kind of project. So right now the data which we are making for the project is maybe very highly confidential. So I gave the rank maybe 5 out of 5, means it is very highly confidential, it should be having less risk and all those things. But maybe the project has finished after 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. Maybe this data is not that much confidential, or maybe this kind of information is available everywhere over the internet. So in such scenario, we should also consider such kind of item to do the reclassification. We should do a kind of a small auditing, either internal or either external, to make sure that every year when you do this auditing, you give them reclassification, you reclassify them to get to know that now in current scenario how many number of data or resource you have which is very highly confidential, which is medium, or which is low. So for example, after 2 3 years this data becomes very common, so I have to reduce its confidentiality level. I have to put it in a different category like medium, maybe 3, or maybe even it is very much common, so I have to make it 1. Why we are changing it? Because those data which is having confidentiality 5 or 4, we are ready, or company is ready to put some expense also to protect such kind of data. But if a company is having a data whose confidentiality level is 1, they will not be willing to pay too much money to protect such kind of data. So company also makes a financial report, or they also make a financial budget according to how many number of data your company is having, which resource or how much resource you have which is very highly confidential, how much is the cost of that data. They judge the cost of the or the value of the hack, and then on the basis of that they implement a budget, or they make a budget that okay, this year we are going to have this many number of very highly confidential data whose cost is around maybe like 50 million. So we are going to sanction a budget of 5 million to buy a device, or to buy some services, or to hire some people in security to protect this data. Next maybe year this 50 million reduced to 20 million, so obviously the budget will also reduce to protect this data. So this is how audit will be helping you to securing your data as well as to managing your financial combination with your security level. Third one, where we can talk about that, because we should not pay additional money and effort to protect that general data which is at high level. So as I told you, maybe you are having your data is now, before it was 5 highly secure, now it is very common, and but still you are putting too much effort. You have had 5 6 security engineer to protect the data. You have you are using maybe some online web services or cloud services where you are paying too much money to protect the data, so that will be just a wastage of money. So that's why we need to do a kind of what we can call it like we have to do reclassification of each data after some periodic interval, and that's how we can finalize that how much data we have very high confidential, which one is medium, which one is low. Now another thing is we should also always implement a least privilege to the user. That is what I have been discussing in very many number of video. I have been telling you that always whenever you are assigning any authorization to any user, always start with a lower. How much I give the authorization to this user, which can be more than enough for him. So we should always think from lower to higher. Let's give only read permission. Maybe read only will not work. Let's give him read and write permission. Read write is not enough. Then you give him modify permission. You should not start thinking about let me give everybody full permission and then if it will require I can reduce. No, always try to give the permission from lower to the higher. Then we should also take care about all type of increments, whatever you can implement. You should take care about administrative control, there should be a kind of hierarchical structure where the boss is there. When if anybody lower guy want to do any change in the network, in the firewall, in your infrastructure, in your system, they should first report to the senior should report to the next will have a kind of board meeting or a control meeting, and then if they decide, they send this message to another will send to next, and then that guy will be able to change. And before he change, other top level person must having a backup plan or rollback plan, so that if anything goes wrong or right, they have the readiness to fulfill all different condition or criteria. Next is so to control all control should be implemented to have the CIA. Our main agenda is to fulfill the CIA. We should fulfill confidentiality. We should always have the confidentiality of each of the resource. We should always have integrity. It should be never be changed or manipulated by anybody. And then we should always take care about availability. For example, if your data is highly confidential, or maybe it must be available all the time, you can use load balancing, you can use failover cluster, you can have backup plan, you can have restore point, you can have checkpoint, you can have snapshot. Very many number of methods are there which can be used by the IT person to make sure that your resource is always available. Even maybe one server fail, even maybe original data gets deleted, or even maybe one server gets hacked or something like that. So these are the major condition which we should take care about. Plus we should always take care about the AAA. AAA is also a kind of mandatory item for us as a IT person, where A is authentication, what kind of authentication you are giving, or how you are making sure that who is the user logging in. So authentication you can control by using multi-factor authentication, so that any user, when before he logs into any system or logs into your company, he need to be verified by their maybe face detection, maybe iRetina, maybe fingerprint, maybe password, maybe PIN number, maybe the card. Then once authentication is done, second thing must be followed, authorization. Once the user is logged into your any system, what resource he will be having access to, that is authorization. What resource he will have full permission, what resource he will have read permission, what resource he can read and write and modify also. So those things comes as a part of authorization. And the third is also mandatory accountability, that which user logs in at what time, what he has done, which kind of data or resource he accessed, what kind of change he did. All this accountability has to be maintained by you. So after maintaining these three things, A, authentication, authorization and accountability, you will be able to at least secure your data, secure your resources, and you can say that now my risk is very low, or it is 0% or 0.001%, like that. So these are some of the tricks which we should follow, being an ethical hacker also, to protect our data or resource wherever you are working, in whichever company you are working, or either if you visit any company as a freelancer, it is your responsibility to make sure and check each and every part, and generate a report and give it to the company telling that this is what you are maintaining, this is what you are not maintaining, and this is what you're supposed to do to protect your network or to protect your data. Then even ISO 27001 says that we should always establish a complete procedure for management review of access right. We should be having a random, or maybe a kind of a regular, or maybe a periodic audit where somebody comes and verify that which guy is having what kind of permission. Because sometimes what happen, maybe that a guy is working in a specific team, and because of any reason, maybe a company has switched him to different department, or maybe he got promoted as a senior level, or maybe he joined, or he is now controlling different project, but you have not removed his access, or you have not removed his authorization from this project data. So those may lead to have a issue. So the better idea is you should make a rule or a policy that okay, after each 3 month or after each 6 month, we will be always having a proper auditing to make sure that what is right, what is not right, and what should be the best way to protect our network. So whenever an employee changing their department, administrator must review his authorization level. So if some guy has just switched from the one department to another, or he has been promoted, or he jumped to any other project, being IT person, it is your responsibility to go and check what authorization he was having in previous project, and as soon as if it is possible, remove his authorization from that area, so that he will not be able to manipulate the data in this project. Maybe he was having some good fight with his colleague, or maybe he just jealous, or maybe he's a bad guy. He should not do any bad activity on the previous project because of any reason. So before he even think about such things, it is your responsibility as IT person to go and remove all his authorization from the previous project. Next is job rotation and mandatory vacation is must be implemented in your organization. Make sure that whenever you have a very high senior level person, like those who are making maybe user account, those who are giving the password, those people must be going for the mandatory vacation. And as I explained in previous videos, that mandatory vacation means you ask your employee to go for a leave, and that period of leave when he is on, somebody else comes and sits on his chair, sits on his particular area, so that he verify everything, what is wrong, what is right, what he has been doing, and what was the right things. Because sometime what happened that maybe I am IT person, I am not having any bad intention with my company, but by mistake maybe I have given somebody full right which he doesn't deserve, or maybe he was not supposed to having that full permission, but by mistake I gave it. Now that guy will start doing experiment, that guy will try to attack the system, that guy will maybe stole the data from the company. So somehow I am also responsible for that attack. So that's why mandatory vacation is needed, so that when the employee like me, as a in that position of the guy, if I get a mandatory vacation, somebody else will come and he will verify that maybe I did something wrong, maybe intentionally, maybe not intentionally, but if something I did wrong, he can correct it now. So these are some of the methods we supposed to always think in, or we should keep in our mind whenever we talk about the control of the risk, whenever we talk about controlling our security. So this is all about. In this video we talked about what we can do to reduce the risk, what are the different control method we can use to reduce the risk, and what are the best solution to make sure that risk is at 0% or 0 point something. So I hope this video was informative for you all, and I would like to thank you for watching.